When tech billionaire Sebastian Kane's PR team discovered he'd hired me, a black woman with a criminal record, they panicked. "She'll destroy everything," they warned. But what happened next shocked everyone, including me. Sometimes the person you least expect becomes your greatest salvation. I never believed in fairy tales. Life had beaten that optimism out of me years ago. But sometimes, just sometimes, the universe has a way of proving you wrong in the most extraordinary way possible. What I'm about to share with you isn't just my story. It's a testament to how the most unlikely connections can become the most powerful forces for change. If you're someone who's ever felt written off by society, if you've ever wondered whether second chances really exist, or if you simply love stories where karma serves justice in the most unexpected ways, then you're going to want to hear every single word of what happened to me. Because this isn't just about a billionaire and a woman with a past. This is about what happens when two broken souls refuse to let the world define their worth. Before we dive deep into this journey that changed everything I thought I knew about redemption, do me a favor. If stories of unexpected hope and the kind of karma that restores your faith in humanity speak to your soul, hit that like button right now. And if you want more untold stories that prove miracles still happen in the most ordinary places, subscribe and ring that notification bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. In the darkest chapter of my life, when I thought my story was already over. 3 years ago, I was Jasmine Rivers, Esquire. I had the corner office, the designer suits, the respect that comes with being one of the few black women to make partner at a prestigious law firm. I thought I was untouchable. I thought doing the right thing would protect me. I was naive. When I discovered my firm was laundering money for a human trafficking ring, I didn't hesitate. I gathered evidence, filed reports, became a whistleblower. I believed justice would prevail. Instead, they destroyed me. Suddenly, I was the one facing fraud charges. My own evidence was twisted against me, my reputation shredded in the media, my savings drained by legal fees. The system I'd spent my life serving turned me into its enemy. By the time the charges were dropped, quietly, with no fanfare, I had nothing left. No job, no money, no future. The legal world had blacklisted me. Nobody would hire a lawyer who'd been painted as a criminal, even if the charges were bogus. So I did what I had to do. I swallowed my pride and took a job with a commercial cleaning company. That's how I ended up with the keys to the top floor of Kane Industries at 3 in the morning. Sebastian Kane's penthouse office was supposed to be empty during my shift. The youngest billionaire in the city, known for his ruthless business tactics and ice-cold demeanor, wasn't supposed to be there. But there he was, hunched over his computer in the dark, the city lights casting shadows across his face. He didn't even look up when I entered. "Just clean around me," he said coldly, his fingers never stopping their frantic typing. I'd heard about him, the tech prodigy who'd built an empire before his 30th birthday, the man who fired people via email and never showed emotion. But sitting there in that empty office at 3 a.m., he looked less like a ruthless businessman and more like a lost soul. I moved quietly around him, emptying trash cans, dusting surfaces. That's when I saw his computer screen. Suicide prevention websites, crisis hotlines, forum discussions about ending the pain. My heart stopped. This man who seemed to have everything was researching how to throw it all away. Our eyes met in the reflection of his monitor. For a moment, neither of us moved. The weight of what I'd witnessed hung between us like a confession. Then he slowly closed the browser window and turned to face me. "You didn't see anything," he said, but his voice cracked. "I've seen a lot of things lately that shouldn't exist," I replied softly. "Sometimes it helps to talk to someone who understands what rock bottom feels like." That was the beginning. Two broken people, meeting in the darkness, both carrying secrets that were slowly killing us. Neither of us knew that this chance encounter would change everything. What started as cautious nods became brief conversations. Night after night, I'd arrive at 3 a.m. to find Sebastian still there, wrestling with demons I was only beginning to understand. Make coffee, expensive stuff that probably cost more than my weekly salary, and we'd sit in comfortable silence, two insomniacs finding solace in shared brokenness. Slowly, the walls came down. He told me about the pressure, the loneliness of being surrounded by people who only saw dollar signs when they looked at him. I shared my own story, how whistleblowing had cost me everything, how justice felt like a cruel joke. We were both casualties of systems that chewed up anyone who dared to challenge them. Then came the night he broke completely. "I built this empire on a lie," he whispered, staring out at the city below. "My best friend David had this incredible idea for connecting people through technology. I stole it after he died in a car accident. Everyone thinks I'm a genius, but I'm just a thief living in a dead man's shadow." The guilt was eating him alive. Every success felt like another betrayal of his friend's memory. Every award, every accolade, every billion-dollar milestone was built on foundations of deception. He'd been planning to end it all, the pain, the lie, everything, until our conversations gave him something he'd forgotten existed: genuine human connection. But our fragile sanctuary was about to be shattered. Victoria Sterling, Kane Industries' head of public relations, was everything I wasn't: polished, connected, ruthlessly efficient. She ran background checks on everyone who came within 50 feet of Sebastian, and when my name crossed her desk, alarm bells started screaming. "A convicted criminal working in your personal space?" she demanded during what I later learned was an emergency board meeting. "Jasmine Rivers isn't just some cleaning lady. She's a fraud case waiting to explode. Do you have any idea what the media will do with this?" The boardroom erupted. Investors who'd never cared about Sebastian's well-being suddenly became deeply concerned about his judgment. Partners threatened to pull out. The PR team painted nightmare scenarios of stock crashes and reputation destruction. All because a black woman with a criminal record, charges that were dropped, mind you, had dared to exist in their pristine corporate world. Victoria presented her ultimatum with surgical precision: fire her immediately or watch everything you've built crumble. But Sebastian did something nobody expected, something that would change both our lives forever. "No," he said quietly, "I'm promoting her to personal assistant." The room fell silent. You could hear hearts stopping. Victoria's perfectly composed face cracked for just a moment, revealing the rage beneath. She'd expected compliance, not defiance. She'd underestimated what happens when someone finally finds something worth fighting for. That decision would unleash a storm neither of us saw coming. Sometimes doing the right thing feels like signing your own death warrant. Victoria Sterling wasn't the type of woman who accepted defeat gracefully. Within 48 hours of Sebastian's announcement, my entire life became front-page news. Someone had leaked my criminal record to every major media outlet in the city, complete with mugshots and the most damaging details they could find. "Billionaire's criminal assistant. Tech giant hires fraud suspect," screamed the headlines. My face was plastered across every news channel, every gossip blog, every social media platform. The comments section became a cesspool of racism and hatred that made my stomach turn. Death threats filled my inbox. Strangers on the street recognized me and spat venom about how I was playing the race card and seducing my way to the top. But the personal attacks were nothing compared to what was happening to Sebastian's empire. Kane Industries' stock price crashed overnight. Major investors called emergency meetings, demanding explanations. Partners who'd been eager to work with the golden boy of tech suddenly found reasons to terminate their contracts. The board of directors was in full panic mode, and Victoria Sterling was right there, feeding the flames with carefully placed comments about Sebastian's concerning judgment and reckless decisions. I knew what I had to do. I sat in my tiny apartment, writing my resignation letter with tears streaming down my face. I'd finally found someone who saw my worth, who believed in second chances, and I was about to lose it all because the world couldn't handle the idea of a black woman with a past deserving redemption. But before I could submit that letter, Sebastian did something that shattered me completely. He called a private meeting and confessed everything: his friend David's death, the stolen idea, the years of living with crushing guilt. "You saved my life, Jasmine," he said, his voice breaking. Those conversations we had, they pulled me back from the edge. For the first time in years, I felt like a human being instead of a fraud. The irony was devastating. While the world was calling me a criminal, I was the one person keeping their golden boy from ending his own life. While they painted me as a threat to his empire, I was the only one who knew how close he'd come to destroying it all himself. When I handed him my resignation letter, something died in his eyes. "I understand," he whispered, but I could see him retreating back into that dark place I'd found him in. The guilt was consuming him again. Now he felt responsible for ruining my life on top of everything else. That night, I got a call that made my blood run cold. Sebastian's driver had found him on the roof of his building, standing too close to the edge, holding his phone with a half-typed message to his shareholders. My resignation hadn't just broken his heart. It had convinced him that even redemption was impossible. Sometimes the weight of the world comes crashing down all at once, and you realize that some battles are bigger than both of you. I raced through the city at 3 a.m., my heart pounding with terror. When I reached that rooftop, I found Sebastian standing at the edge, tears streaming down his face, the wind whipping through his hair. "I destroyed everything," he whispered when he saw me. "Your life, my company, David's memory? Maybe the world is better off without me." "The world needs more people brave enough to fight for what's right," I told him, stepping closer. "Don't you dare let them win by giving up now." That conversation lasted until sunrise. Two broken souls, standing on the edge of everything, choosing to fight back instead of giving in. By morning, we had a plan that would either save us both or destroy us completely. Sebastian called an emergency press conference for that afternoon. Every major news outlet showed up, expecting him to announce my firing and his apology tour. Instead, he walked to that podium with a strength I'd never seen before and did something unprecedented. "My name is Sebastian Kane, and I built my empire on a lie," he began. The room erupted, but he continued. "3 years ago, I stole an idea from my best friend after he died. I've lived with that guilt every day since. But recently, someone showed me that redemption isn't about perfection. It's about the courage to tell the truth and do better." He told them everything: David's original vision, his own theft, the years of guilt-driven success built on betrayal. Then he looked directly into the cameras. "Jasmine Rivers isn't my downfall. She's my redemption. She's the person who pulled me back from the brink and showed me what integrity looks like. While you've been calling her a criminal, she's been saving my life." The announcement that followed stunned everyone. Sebastian was donating half his fortune to criminal justice reform and hiring formerly incarcerated individuals. Kane Industries would become a second-chance company, proving that people's worst moments don't define their worth. But the biggest shock came when I walked onto that stage. "I'm not just Sebastian's assistant," I announced. "I'm Kane Industries' new Chief Ethics Officer. We're going to show the world that redemption isn't just possible, it's profitable." The investigation that followed exposed Victoria Sterling's scheme. Security cameras caught her meeting with reporters. Phone records showed her coordinating the media attacks. She'd violated corporate policy, ethics agreements, and possibly broken laws. Her carefully crafted career crumbled in a single day. 6 months later, Kane Industries was more successful than ever. Our ethical business model attracted conscious consumers and investors who wanted to be part of something meaningful. Sebastian found peace in honest work, and I rebuilt my legal career on a foundation of truth instead of lies. Sometimes your greatest weakness becomes your greatest strength. Sometimes the person the world tells you to fear becomes your salvation. And sometimes, just sometimes, doing the right thing actually wins. You know what I learned through all of this? The world will try to convince you that your past defines your future, that redemption is reserved for people who look a certain way or come from certain places. They'll tell you that broken people can't fix anything, that second chances are fairy tales, that the system always wins. They're wrong. Standing here today, 3 years after that first night when two strangers met in the darkness, I can tell you that miracles still happen. Not the kind where everything magically becomes perfect, but the kind where imperfect people choose to see each other's humanity, where courage becomes contagious, where truth, no matter how painful, becomes the foundation for something beautiful. Sebastian and I aren't perfect. We're still healing, still growing, still learning what it means to build something meaningful from the wreckage of our mistakes. But we're proof that your lowest moment doesn't have to be your final chapter. We're living evidence that the people society discards might just be the ones with the power to change everything. If this story moved something inside you, if it reminded you that redemption is always possible, please share it with someone who needs to hear that their story isn't over yet. Hit that like button if you believe in second chances, because your engagement helps stories like mine reach the people who need them most. And if you want more untold stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, stories that prove humanity is still worth fighting for, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Because the world is full of Jasmines and Sebastians, people who've been written off, people who are fighting battles nobody sees, people who are just one moment of grace away from changing everything. Drop a comment and tell me, what would you have done in Sebastian's position? Have you ever been judged for your past when all you needed was a second chance? Your story matters, and I read every single comment. Remember, your past doesn't define you. Your courage to keep going does. Until next time, keep believing in the impossible, because sometimes it's the only thing that saves us all. This is Jasmine Rivers, reminding you that redemption isn't just a word. It's a choice we make every single day.